Coach, I guess first question, what's kind of the mood of the team been since you got back to practice after the loss to Minnesota?
Well, you know, Monday we had off. Tuesday we did lifting and individual workouts because they were all preparing for finals, and we had kind of based things on their schedule, but we had to get them moving. And then yesterday we had a real good practice. I thought our guys came really ready and prepared to practice. I thought we did some really positive things yesterday in the practice in terms of improving our transition defense and really did a good job, focusing on guarding the dribble better and staying in front of the basketball, things that were problematic for us in the loss against Minnesota.
Looking at Colorado State, a pretty good offense, a lot of guys that shoot threes. What sticks out to you about them?
I would say it's better than pretty good, Paul. They're top five in 3-point percentage and overall field goal percentage. That's very unique. I think they're probably the most underrated team in the country right now. They're 26 in the polls when you look at where they're getting votes. And I mean, they have two players who can play for anywhere in the country. And I think Roddy's an NBA player. And having coached a lot of NBA players, I know what one looks like. This guy is special. He's really something because he's added the ability to step out and shoot threes at a very high level now. He's really problematic. But they have great depth. They're older. They're playing, the vast majority of their guys are guys that have a lot of experience. They score top 10 in the country in points. We talked about the 3-point and field goal percentage. They don't turn it over. They're a real juggernaut offensively, and they're a good defensive team. I mean, they play extremely hard and mix up their defenses some. They just have an outstanding team that's going to be a team that's going to, I think, have a chance to advance quite far in the NCAA tournament.
Andy, go ahead.
Hey, Ben, you just kind of mentioned David Roddy. Obviously, you can kind of score from inside and out. What's kind of the matchup that you try to do with him on defense to try to minimize just what he can do in kind of all levels of the court?
We don't have any one guy that can match up with him easily. And to give you guys a background on Roddy, just so you guys are aware, I don't know of many people in the world that are great 3-point shooters that also won the state championship in the discus and the shot put, and that were the starting quarterback for their high school team and ended up being the MVP of the offensive side of the ball in the state all-star game in football. This guy is an absolute amazing athlete. At 6'6", 252 pounds. He's like a Charles Barkley type, and he has explosiveness. When he jumps, a lot of guys 250 and they're not getting great lift. This guy has lift. He plays above the rim. I mean, he's like a monster. So it's going to be a team thing to try to deal with him. You have to have size, and so we'll end up having our 4s and 5s guarding him. And if anybody else ended up in there, you'd have to double team him. But he's just a monster, and he passes it. I mean, he's unselfish. He's a good screener. He's a great rebounder. That's why I said he's an NBA player. It's going to be a very difficult matchup. And Matthews will end up guarding him. Obviously, Garrison will be on him. And then, our inside guys as well, our 5 men as well, Tolu and JD potentially.
Curious on just when you have a loss like Minnesota, as a coach, do you prefer to have some time off to kind of reset things, or would you, obviously you couldn't do this, but would you kind of prefer to get right back into a game and kind of try to brush it off immediately? How do you try to balance that?
No, I think it was important for us. I mean, we had, I'd rather have time so that we, like what happens is, we're practicing for those, 30 practices prior to when we start the season. Once the season starts, and it kind of changes where we're just preparing for games. So yesterday, which was our first practice back, we got a chance to get back to some basics. Like we were terrible in our transition D. So we had to go back right from the beginning, the same drills we were doing back in June and July yesterday in transition D, just to set our fundamentals of what we're supposed to do in transition D. Same thing, defending the ball. I mean, we were breaking stuff down. The first hour and a half yesterday was all defense. I mean, they shot 49% against us. And 41 from three. And we're not going to beat teams in the SEC or anybody on our schedule that's left on our schedule now unless we're better defensively. Our identity has to start with our defense first mentality. So I'm really happy that we had some time in between the games, and the guys needed it. We didn't have as much time as I would like to prepare for the Minnesota game. This game, at least we have 3 days to prepare, which is better for us.
Stefan, go ahead.
Hey Ben, just kind of wanted to ask, coming off that Minnesota loss, you haven't been coaching college basketball for a while. How important is a game like this? I think Colorado State's a top tier team according to Ken Pom. Just in terms of the resume, when March comes around, how important is a game like this? You talk about that at all with the team?
Yeah, I mean, this gives if we beat Colorado State, that would be a huge win for our resume. That's why we scheduled the game. We knew they were going to be really good. And that's what we lost out on at Minnesota at home, and especially stings to lose at home. But Minnesota's good. I mean, their experience and their toughness, and their ability to shoot really showed up. But you get back on the horse, just like you said. We got another game coming, and it's a tough one.
Theo, go ahead.
You guys are in the top 25 in both offensive rebounding and keeping your opponents from getting offensive rebounds. Montana and Minnesota were not very good offensive rebounding teams statistically. Colorado State isn't either. Do you see an area to take advantage of when you play Saturday?
Well, yeah, they're not a good offensive rebounding team because they usually make the first shot. So they don't have as many opportunities to offensive rebound. But when you look at this team, I mean, they don't have weaknesses. I mean, we have to be very good at what we do at both ends of the floor to give ourselves a chance in the last 5 minutes of the game. And we've got to have our depth show up on Saturday, and guys step up and really help us.
Additionally, I mean, teams are taking a lot of threes against you as a team. With a team that shoots that well that they do, how can you adjust your defense to kind of limit some of those three-point attempts if you want to?
Yeah, we have to really be out on them, no question, which isolates Roddy inside, and so that's a great advantage for him and for them. Their starting five-man, Thomas, for example, shoots 55% from three on the season right now. I mean, he can really shoot. So there's a lot of matchup issues, and a lot of teams, I mean, everybody shoots a lot of threes now. We took 29 in the game against Minnesota, and we actually missed some wide open looks. If you're going to beat good teams, you got to be able to make shots too. When you're wide open, you got to knock down shots. Like we spent a lot of time shooting on Tuesday. Each guy got up hundreds of shots. And, I think we'll make improvements there. I think we're a better shooting team than what we showed on Sunday when we're wide open. I think we started the game poorly, though, in that your first couple shots to start games can't be shots that are forced or hurried. They've got to be good shots within a rhythm of an offense.
Courtney, go ahead.
Coach, you talk a lot about different things you want to see improve from that Minnesota game going into Saturday, but when you're talking to your team, what's the number one thing you're stressing or asking that you see from them in that game against Colorado State that you didn't see against Minnesota?
Defense. We've got to hang our head and have more pride about how we're doing defensively. Give Minnesota credit. I mean, they had a lot of cute things they did that caused issues, but at the end of the day, I mean, it comes down to us being able to defend better. I mean, that's where like I was telling some friends earlier. I watched the Tennessee Texas Tech game, which was a horrible offensive game to watch, but each team both had a chance to win the other night in the Madison Square Garden because they defended so well against each other. I mean, Tennessee was 2 for 29 from three, and in a one-possession game with a minute to go. I mean, that just tells you, if you play great defense, you always give yourself a chance to win.